Hi everyone, and welcome to the Tiger Prism using analytics overview. So I'm Richard, the head of service management at Tiger, and with me today we have...
I'm Sharon Rock, and I'm the customer success manager.
So in this session, we're going to look at analytics, and we're going to sort of show you some examples of how you can access your data. I think the important thing with analytics is really you're looking at rows of data that you can filter, you can sort it the way you want to sort it, you can display the columns you want to display with it. So we'll give some examples of the sort of things you might use it for, but you have to think about this as a more of a data dump where you just want to get a lump of information out of Prism. So without further ado, we shall go in and start sharing a live example. So Sharon, let's go into analytics if we may, please. And you know, while we're just loading that up, what are the main things that customers would sort of use analytics for?
I think, as you said, data dumps is what analytics is. We just have to remember when we're accessing analytics for Prism that there are different analytics for different switch types. So you're going to need to know which switch type you're actually inquiring against. So I'm going to go into the telephony analytics. So we might do call volumes. We might try and track calls coming in from a customer if we've got their CLI. We might try and track a staff member and see what they've been doing.
See what their usage is, yeah. And I think I'll just add on your note there about the different systems. Look, analytics is the same but different, right? The terms you're going to see us use are slightly different because obviously for Teams it's not an endpoint, it's a user. But what you're going to see here, the way you can add and remove fields, that's the same for all of the different sources. Okay, so let's I guess just before we dive in and give a real example, we're going to do separate sessions on reporting and dashboards, but they also give me access to my data, right? So how's analytics different?
Analytics literally is a data dump, so you're just going to get rows and rows of data. So when you start looking at dashboards and reports, it's aggregating the information and pulling it into headings and columns that are already predefined.
Yeah, so this is more if you want to export the data and perhaps do something with it afterwards, or maybe if you're looking for one very specific piece of information, you use analytics. All right, fantastic. So let's have a look at a real life example, shall we? So if I wanted to look at how many calls were received into my organization on a specific time on a certain day, and I don't know, it could be because we had a fire drill. Did I miss lots of calls during our fire drill?
There's lots of different ways of looking at that. I think the best way to look at that would be, we look at the call legs. That's just going to give us the rows and rows of data that we've spoken about. Now, when you open up these windows, this is the same as all analytics windows, you will get a set of default columns. Now, you'll notice that there are crosses against each one, which means you can take them out. There's also a cross against the main area, so you can take them all out in one go. There's also a filter area and a group filter area. So if I just click on the retrieve data button for today, I'm going to get a set of data that shows me those columns. Now I can look to say, well, okay, those two fields aren't being populated by our system because we haven't got that information there. So I'm going to take those out. So I'll take that column and that column out, and I can then refresh. Those columns are now gone. Now we do have dimensions and measures over on the right hand side. There are about 900 different fields in here, and some of them are switch related, and some of them for all different switch types. So you can either go and look for them because all of them have headings and column names and everything. You can go down, and if you find one that you want, you can grab it and bring it into your columns. This would then mean that when I refreshed, that column would then be populated with information about that heading. Okay.
So I want to narrow down the date and time. So how do I add my filters to do that?
Okay, so date and time is just here. So quick dates or specific dates. Quick dates gives us today, yesterday, last week, last month. So if you wanted to look at a particular day, I go specific date, and then I'd go and pick my day. Let's just say last Monday, and then retrieve. So that's restricted it down to just that day.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to break it down by hour, the easiest way to do that is take all your columns out and then start adding. Let's look at hour bins. So I've typed it because I know what it's called, and it's brought me up all the columns that have got hour in it. I'm going to leg count it, and I'm going to sum that. If I now run that for that 29th of today, that now shows me every hour in that day and how many legs I had for each hour.
And I want to know just how many incoming it was. Can we add that as well?
Yes, we can. You can show it in the columns. Let's just do that first of all. And then if I wanted to filter on it, I could then pull it down to my filter and say I only want to see the incoming.
Okay, and you've just done a normal drag and drop there to move that. And I see it's left it in the column field as well as moving it to the filter.
If you then decide you don't actually need that, you don't need it in the column to be in the filter.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just, that's it, there you go. So then you've got the information.
Great, and then I can go, right, my fire drill was 10 to 11. I can see that X calls were how many we missed on our incoming. All right, fantastic. And what about if I wanted to, you know, we talked about tracking customer contacts. What about if I wanted to look up a specific number that's come in?
Okay, so I think the best way to do that is to go back to the main page where we've got all our fields again, because that's the best way to start. We've over the years we've been doing call log, and we feel they're the ones that would be used the most.
And I notice you've come out and gone back in, and it's defaulted back to these. So people shouldn't be worried if they're deleting fields. They're not.
Yeah, we can get them back.
Yeah.
So if you want to track a person's number, it's the calling digits. That's the person that called in. So you would drag the calling digits down. Let's just find one that we know called in so that it works if we do today. Let's just say that number there.
And I should just add, by the way, for anyone looking at this training video, the hashes are on ours for security reasons, that you would normally see the full number in your own data. So
when you want to add a filter, you click on the box once it's in the filter, and you then get different types of boxes depending on what the field name is. So this has given me a box to type my number in. So I've actually typed it in. I'm going to include it, and then I'd retrieve again. And then all I'll see then is calls that match that filter.
Yeah.
You can see what you've got filtered by clicking hovering over that little eye. It tells you what you've got filtered.
Excellent. And obviously, if you want to do it, let's say you want to see how many times that had occurred in the last 6 months. So you can either use your specific dates, or maybe there's if it's the last 3 months, it might be a quick date.
Yeah, no, it's not. We've got last month. So last month would give us.
Or a specific month you can choose for the last 12 months or
3 months. Dates up.
Yeah.
Go back and then do that and then retrieve again.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And go on, let's throw it open to you. Just show me one more trick that you love about analytics.
You can actually create filters. So for instance, if I wanted to know whether so I'm going to bring down the calling or the called. So let's just say that my extension number. I'm just looking for one. These are all mobile bills, aren't they? What you could do is put brackets around things, because it then becomes an equation. So what I've now got here, I'm going to change this to OR. So what I'm going to say is I could put a number in there, which is say a staff's extension number, and say, is the call digits that person's extension number or the calling digits? Were they called? Did they make a call out?
Yeah.
What that's going to do is look at both sections of the call leg and then bring me back results where they're either the calling or the called. So putting the brackets in the or gives me the option to do that.
Okay, excellent. And look, we obviously run our Ask the Expert sessions. Myself and Matt run those. We did a good long session. Actually, we've done 2 on analytics where it gets into a lot more detail. So this is a quick insight into analytics today. If you want to see more, go back to Get Started, find the Ask the Expert session. And yeah, there's some really, really detailed training videos in there for you to access. Thank you very much, everyone.
See you in the next video. Bye.